Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Lucas.
And we are two aspiring filmmakers making unnecessary commentary on famous movies.
Each week, we will randomly select a film to analyze, discuss, and review.
We will select the film at the end of each podcast, so you will have ample time to watch the movie before the next episode.
We are slightly qualified film students.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Yes,
today
here we are.
Reviewing the 2013 rom-com About Time. This British film, same director as Love Actually. It was my first time seeing it. I know Lucas has seen it before.
Yeah, this is my third time watching it.
Damn, third time. Nice.
Yeah. This is... Look, I knew when the wheel was going to land on when the wheel landed on this, that this was not going to be Ben's favorite movie by any means.
No.
He's not a romantic. He just doesn't like romance.
Like, okay, I would say that I like, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like a lot of the romantic films that are like really popular and, just critically acclaimed and, they're like the essential romance movies. I just feel like they're all quite like really lazy and just not very interesting, or like they don't really have a lot of depth. So I actually think that this is one of my favorite romantic movies I've seen, just because it has an actual interesting concept that's not just boy meets girl, boy tries to get girl for like the whole 2 hours. Like this actually got some time travel to spice it up. And I also like going in when I heard time travel rom-com, I thought it was going to be like sci-fi.
Yeah, and it's not. And I love
it's
that.
It's really not.
I like that they take the time travel as just like a plot point, and then they kind of just, it's just something that's there. It doesn't create drama throughout the film. It's kind of just a plot point.
And they kind of almost use it like because actually originally when they were writing the script, they didn't have time travel in it at first. The film was originally just supposed to be about kind of like living life and, finding ways to be happy day to day and like just appreciate each day kind of thing, which the film is still about, but they thought that it was like too boring. So they were like, oh, let's spice this up, do some time travel. They did some like test shooting and they were like, man, we can't like get these effects to look good. It just like gives off the totally wrong vibe. So they decided to just make it like a really almost like not time, like an anti-time travel film, where it's like almost just like a thing the character can do. And I like that they kind of like brush it off, even in the way that the main character's told. And he's just like, oh yeah, you can time travel. And really it's just used to kind of add some more development to their relationship rather than anything major.
It's often used for like comedic value too, which I kind of like.
Exactly.
Okay, so like I was reading Roger Ebert's review of this movie, and I thought that what he wrote here is gonna apply to Ben. I think this really applies to anyone who like doesn't really like romantic films. Okay, so he says, during the course of being seduced by this film and the power of love and its underlying message to simply live each day as if it were your last, this thought occurred to me. There's something about Richard Curtis films that allows cinematic endorphins to be released into the brain and generate a state of euphoria that is akin to absolute bliss. To experience it, you just have to allow the analytical part of your mind to unclench during the dodgier bits of business. All these pasty, well-off people and their problems, oh, woe is them, and go with the feel-good flow. I feel like that applies to Ben's viewing of this film.
I mean, for the most part, that's kind of what I did. I don't know. I was in the midst of kind of a film watching spree, though. I kind of watched this in the middle during Easter. It's Easter right now, so I've been watching a lot of stuff. And honestly, like that was kind of a mistake because I watched movies like Drive, and this like Ukrainian documentary about some real intense stuff that was going on. And then I watched About Time, and I was just like, this is like just not as good. Like when I watch Drive and then I watch About Time, I just literally was kind of unimpressed. So I feel like that was a mistake, and I don't know. I feel like my view on this film is very similar to Sing Street. Like I'm not like judging it super harshly and like, you know, nitpicking it that much. I do think that the film actually has some like decently major issues in some areas, but like for the most part I was pretty like I wasn't going very pretentious on the judging, because I obviously understand that it's not a pretentious film at all. And I think that this is one of the better rom-coms I've seen in my time. I think that the dialogue in the second act in particular, like once he's actually getting to know Rachel McAdams' character, is just really charming. And it's just great to watch. I honestly
think this movie, it has one of the greatest like first meeting scene
in the darkness,
like any romantic film. Yeah, because it's just like so like kind of flipping it on its back. It's like that's not how you would usually see a romance movie play out. That they're just like you can't see anything. You're just hearing voices for like 5 minutes. I thought that was cool.
I like that scene. I thought that was a pretty good scene. I mean, I think that in general, my issues with this film come at the end and at the start. I actually thought that most of the time he spends in London with Rachel McAdams is my favorite part by far. Like the really awkward scenes when he's trying to get to know her, the scenes with his dad's friend, all that kind of stuff I really liked. But I don't know. I thought that the insane amount of narration was like a bit over the top at the start. I don't know. I'll talk more about it in the review. But yeah, I think overall, solid rom-com. Definitely not my favorite. So if you're a huge fan of this film, don't get offended by my words in the review.
Don't worry, I'll back up this film. Sure, although I do agree that like it's pretty hard to go into this film after watching Drive, because that's just
way
a masterpiece of a film.
Let's do standout scenes.
Standout scenes.
I'll go first.
So, you go first.
Okay. My favorite scene, and this is like, I'd say kind of by far, is the wedding scene. I don't know, like, I just, it's like the poster for the film. I was kind of waiting for it to come up. And there's just something that made me, like, just feel happy. And there's, like, just a feel-good scene. Like, it's a funny scene, you know, just pouring on everybody. And there's just something charming about that. It's, like, the opposite of the film wedding, that the boring ones that you always come to see. I love that, like, inside joke Italian song that they play. And it's just a really sweet scene. Because, you know, I like that the relationship they have. And I think that the wedding is like a perfect fit for their relationship, especially for like both their characters. So I don't know. I just thought that was like kind of like the last my peak of the movie. I think that was like my high for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Was the wedding.
It's like, it's kind of ironic, this scene, because it's like everyone's super happy, and yet it has like the worst weather ever. It's just downpouring, super windy. Yeah, I like that scene. The thing about this movie is it's like, it feels like just a sweet movie. Like you're kind of just watching it, and it's just like,
and you want to see your boy succeed.
You that gooey feeling.
You want to see him get it right.
Yeah.
Like when he messes up, you're like, okay, time travel time. Like, let's do this for real.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay, so my... well, I think one of my standout scenes I already talked about is the scene where they first meet, the dinner scene. Mm-hmm. It's not really technically great, because it's literally just a black screen hearing voiceovers. But I just think it's a madly original way of a character's first meeting, and I really like that. Other scene that I really like is actually the montage. So in the train station, basically they meet, they get together, and then we see this montage that takes place completely and only in the train station, which is a really cool way of showing passage of time, because you're seeing this couple go through their day-to-day life, having to pass through this train station every day to get to work or to get to go see their families or whatever. And you're just seeing their relationship grow through like a couple seconds of every day in this same location. And it's pretty cool. It's a really great way of showing passage of time. The music's good. And I really also like how that scene is just like, we don't have to see their relationship grow, because that's not what this film is about. This film is about just watching them basically grow a family, and not as much about them like him pursuing her, him like, you know, making her fall in love with him. It's not about that. It's about like they get together, and then you just have this like montage, and then, you know, then they're gonna get married, and then you start following them as they build a family, as, you know, his father starts getting health issues, and that's when the film starts to like, you just follow them, and it's like a snippet of life kind of feel, and I like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great montage. I like that instead of showing you all like the dates or whatever, doing it like that. Mm-hmm. It's just like these little visual things, like the way they interact with each other day to day, just showing their growth in their relationship. It was very creative and fresh, and I like that. Yeah. Also saves them some money. They don't have to rent out too many locations.
That's true. Yeah, okay, so let's do some audience questions. Nice. We only have one. We have one audience question. But this one's kind of cool. Okay. If you could go back in time in your lifetime, how far back would you want to go, and why?
I don't know. That's like a tough question. Like, I think that in my relatively short life, I haven't made too many awful decisions that I'd want to go back and like completely fix. So I don't know. I'd probably say I'd go back to when I was like 6 or something. Yeah. Like when I had absolutely no idea what anything or how like the world worked at all. Like, I mean, I still like obviously I don't know really, but like back then I literally would just, you know, you do whatever 6-year-olds do, like just go run around with your friends all day. I don't know. I'd go back and do that again. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. I agree. I would go back to like 6, but like I would do it for totally an ethically and morally wrong reason. I would want to go back and just like be like this kid genius, and then like get boosted up a bunch of grades and like try and make a bunch of money off of me being like a 6-year-old who's like super smart. And then I would try and make a business out of it and make a bunch of money, like make a TV show of myself. I feel like that would get some views. 6-year-old who like
I'm saying I'd rather go back to that for like, I don't know, like a weekend or something. I don't think I'd want to like stay back there. I've already lived that. Like,
nah, I would stay back there, make a bunch of money, and then I would go back. And then
is that how
like,
it works?
You know, yeah, because
in the film you gotta film, don't you have to live the whole?
No. He can go back.
Really?
He can go back because remember he took his sister back to the New Year's party.
Right.
If they had to live through that, they would have to live through another like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, I also, like, I think the time travel is, like, I get that it's supposed to be, like, casually explained, but I also just feel like it's poorly explained. Because I was kind of confused.
Oh, yeah, they put no effort into the time travel thing.
And it was, like I didn't care. Because they wanted it to not be a big deal. But at the same time, I feel like you gotta explain the rules a little bit.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't like time travel movies in general, so, like, I kind of like that. They don't spend too much time on it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's we're done. That was the audience question.
One question. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Feel free to send us those questions, by the way, guys. I love getting those questions.
Yeah, it's fun to answer.
On that poll on our Instagram before each episode. But I think without further ado, let's hop into the review.
Yeah, take a quick break, and then we're gonna hop in story and originality.
All right. We are back. Hopping right in. Story and originality at a 10%.
Let's do it.
I think that this is like an above average rom-com in my opinion in terms of story. Just because, like we've been talking about, it's not just about falling in love and like trying to get the girl. But it's more about living each day to the fullest. And yeah, just like appreciating the small things in life. So I mean, in a lot of ways, that the film is really not that much about the relationship, and it's more just about living life and, you know, just making the best out of life. And they kind of use this time travel concept to put that on display, especially near the end when his dad says, you know, go and live every day twice, live it the first time, you know, just trying to get through, and then live it through a second time, and like notice all the small things, appreciate everything that's going on, and like, you know, the beauty of the world. And I really like that. I think that that's a great message. I mean, I just think that they could have gone like a little further with that, and like maybe even like use the time travel concept more, because I mean, at the end of the day, like there were parts where it was getting like a little just kind of stereotypical rom-com for me. But I think in general this was an above average story for like what I was expecting, and it's definitely very original.
Yeah, it definitely gains points for me for originality. Yeah, I mean, I like the story. I like that it's not just a rom-com, like it also has some like drama aspects to it. I really like the relationship between him and his father that's added into this film. I mean, yeah, I think you covered it. It's not the most like riveting story, but it definitely gains points for originality for me. And, you know, just not being your average rom-com, having like some, you know, some stuff in there to spice it up. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. I gave it an 8 out of 10 also. Because, yeah, I like at the end of the day, this film just like goes deeper into like what it means to be a couple, I feel like, than most rom-coms do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 8 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Let's hop into beginning out of 5%. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really, really didn't like the beginning to this film.
Yeah.
And I definitely, when I watched like the opening 5 minutes, I was really not excited for the 2-hour film that like laid in front of me. It definitely got way better after this beginning, but like I just think that the backstory is like so not good. Like it's just so poorly like attempted. It's so bland. There's just nothing. And I really feel like I didn't know the character that well at all from like this very shallow backstory. Because they just kind of do it so casually. Like very casual narration, and he's like, yeah, I like lived a pretty average life. Meanwhile, he's out here like basically living in like a mansion on the beaches, and he's just like, yeah, I play ping pong with my dad. Like, I don't know. I thought the character development was super weak with this backstory. And I'm just really not a big fan of narration. And this film opens with like 5 minutes of narration.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really think that they failed to give these characters a lot of depth. I mean, the one saving grace is I think the cinematography at this location they had in the south of England was really great, just because of the vast landscape. So really the cool cinematography location, saved it a little bit. But yeah, I just really was not a fan of the beginning at all.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe it's because it was my third time watching it, so I already knew the characters. That didn't affect me as much, but I don't like narration. I agree with you. And I think, honestly, the narration is toned down throughout this movie, but it's used a lot in the beginning and the ending. But, yeah. The thing that's saving this beginning for me is that, cinematography, and I think it's, like, quick paced. Like, it's set up, And I get that it doesn't dive really deep into it, but I almost don't mind that because it just gets to the point really quickly. Like, we get to the New Year's party really quickly, which I actually like the New Year's party because it's kind of like, it just looks cool and really good music. I mean, anytime you're playing Mr. Brightside in the background, I mean, I'm jamming.
Yeah, fair enough.
And, like, you know, we get to the time travel stuff, like, pretty quickly. Like, 8 minutes into the film, we get into the time travel stuff. So yeah, I like that it's quick paced. And yeah, even though it's a lot of voiceover, there's some like decently funny jokes. But I agree, narration and kind of like lack of character development. Yeah.
I honestly, if anything, I would argue that it's too quickly paced. Like, I don't know. For me, when you introduce, like, for a rom-com, I feel like the lead male love interest, like the guy who's trying to get the girl, I feel like you gotta get into him for me to like really care.
you can let his character grow. Like, you don't have to
for
develop
sure.
it in the first 5 minutes.
I mean, when you have like the character development of the narration into the New Year's scene, and then boom, you're hit with the time travel stuff. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was like really not great writing, and I gave the beginning a 2% out of 5. I really didn't like the beginning.
Yeah, I give it a 3 out of 5, a little bit higher. It's definitely a weak average though, but I don't think it's like below average, especially looking at the other films we've done that I've given a 3. But yeah, okay, moving on to ending, also out of 5. Honestly, I think the ending struggles with the same thing here, and it's that voiceover narration. But the thing that the ending has going for it is that the final scene with his dad is, I love that. I love it. And I will not lie. The first time I watched this movie, I cried.
There you go. Same here, bro. No shame.
It's so sad. Like, he's saying goodbye to his dad forever, even though his dad's already been dead for like 9 months. But like, you know, and then they go back and you got that like beautiful soundtrack with them running down the beach. It's just like, it's like really sweet. I know, and heartwarming.
Right? Like, that would have been sick if that was the actual ending. But
yeah, honestly, if it just like ended
that's
there.
what I think.
But then
I honestly think that it drags on for too long with these extra like 2-3 minutes of narration. I like that we got to see the kids grow up a bit, but honestly, I think it would have been way better to just end it. Not like directly on the beach with his dad, maybe, but like really quickly after that.
Yeah, I agree. But the other thing for me is that even though I don't like narration, I really like the song that plays through the narration. I honestly just really like the soundtrack in this film. But yeah,
it's a good soundtrack.
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Same. Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was pretty average. And I think that it definitely could have been better than average. And it just really wasn't.
Yeah, they cut some of that voiceover. Okay, screenplay dialogue out of 8. Here's the thing. I get that the screenplay isn't perfect, and I get that there's a fair amount of plot holes and some like issues and stuff. But like, I don't know. I feel like with a movie like this, I don't really care that much about the technical aspects of it, and I just vibe with it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that for me, the beginning, like with Margot Robbie, is like the most painful parts for me, because I just think they have like, I mean, obviously I get that they're supposed to not have chemistry, but like their interactions are just like so painfully unbelievable. Like, I could never see two human beings like I don't know, man. I just think that the beginning is like just really weak in general. But I think that the dialogue gets really a lot better once he moves to London, and there's actually like a lot of really clever jokes. But yeah, I mean, in general, I just think that it's just not a very enticing screenplay, in my opinion. Like, I just really wasn't that invested in Tim's character. I just felt like, I mean, once they kind of got that family going and you get that kind of vibe, then I started to get into it a bit more. But I mean, for me, like, aside from him being like painfully awkward, I really wasn't. I didn't feel like I was rooting for him enough when he was trying to get Mary. I feel like I was just really cringing at all their interactions.
See, I like that he's painfully awkward. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I relate to that.
I'm saying
I
that,
just,
like, I get that he's awkward, but I just think that not even on that level, I just don't think I was, like, really wanting to see him succeed, you know? I didn't really want to see him get the girl as much in other rom-coms. Like, I don't know. I just didn't really feel as inspired by Tim's character than I would have liked to be. I don't know. There just really wasn't that much likable about him, aside from how awkward he was for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I like his character, and I like him. He seems like just a genuinely nice guy, who's doing some like morally gray stuff. The thing I like about
I
screenplay,
also think that, like, he just doesn't really have a personality beyond being, like, nice and awkward. Like, he's a lawyer, but we never even, like, he never went to law school or anything, so we don't really get to know anything about that. Like, I think his entire personality really throughout the whole film is just being witty and awkward, which is fine, but I just really feel like uninspired by him as a character.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about the screenplay is that it's morally gray. Okay, let's just say that it is.
Yeah,
there is a man going back in time to basically like maneuver his relationship to get a specific girl. It's definitely morally gray in many aspects.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about it is that it just doesn't care. It's like, yeah, we know and we don't care. Like, there is never a point where Rachel McAdams like finds out he can time travel and they get in a big argument. Like, that never happens. It's just what it is.
Yep.
And that's another thing I like about how they wrote their relationship, because you get to see their relationship grow throughout the movie. I like that it feels like one of the most honest, sincere, and real, like, on-screen relationships I've seen in a while, because it's not, like, melodramatic. It's not over-the-top, cheesy, happy. And they've cast two people who they don't really look like they would be your stereotypical Hollywood relationship. They're just, like, two people who are together, and they're awkward and kind of odd, but they have really good chemistry. And it feels like a real relationship. It feels human, you know. And they don't get into like massive arguments. They don't get into like, they don't break up halfway through the movie. It's none of that. It's just like this nice, like, to be honest, heartfelt relationship.
I was waiting for the whole, he loses her and he has to win her back type of thing to happen, and it never happens. And I have a lot of respect for that. Yeah. I don't think that the screenplay is like awful, but I don't know, just really was pretty average for me. Like, I didn't really think that there was that much great about it. I gave it a 5% out of 8 because I think that the dialogue in particular, like, I originally had it as a 4, but then I was like, dialogue was pretty really solid, so I bumped it up to a 5.
I think the dialogue's pretty funny, especially Harry. He's got some really funny dialogue.
I love Harry's character.
I also
Tom
love
Hollander
like Uncle.
Is, like, my favorite actor in this for sure.
Uncle Desmond. He's just like
what a beast, dude! I loved Uncle Desmond.
He's
like so stupid, but he plays it so well.
And you like feel bad. You feel so much empathy for him at the same time. It's beautiful. And like at the end when he's like mourning the father, Tim's father, it's like really sad. I loved it. I gave it a 6 out of 8. One higher than you. But yeah, I agree. It's not the most superb screenplay. And honestly, if this film wasn't like kind of a lighthearted rom-com, I probably would have rated it much lower. It's just that I didn't take it. I just didn't care. I was like, yeah,
true.
Just went with it. Yeah. Okay. Production design.
Soundtrack, bro. You forgot about the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
out of 7%.
Can't forget soundtrack.
I think that this is a very solid soundtrack.
Yeah,
I really like the soundtrack.
I love this soundtrack.
I wouldn't listen to any of these songs per se.
What do you mean you wouldn't listen to any of these songs?
With the exception of Mr. Brightside, okay?
How about Friday I'm in Love by The Cure? You got
See, I'm not a big Cure guy.
Okay, well,
I'm not a big Cure guy.
Okay, fair.
But
anyways, like these, I like Richard Curtis movies have good soundtracks in general. He picks some good songs. I've listened to the soundtrack multitude of occasions. Yeah, I mean, we got Friday I'm in Love, Mr. Brightside, When I Fall in Love, The Luckiest, Midair, like got some good songs. And honestly, I've even listened to the theme piano piece because it's just like this like beautiful, soulful piano piece. And
yeah,
I love it.
For me, my favorite song is Il Mondo, Jimmy Fontana, absolute banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not the hugest fan, like, personally of any of these artists or the music, but I gotta appreciate the Amy Winehouse, you know, like, I don't know. I think that it's a very, very good soundtrack. I wouldn't listen to it outside of the film, but I really like the use of the soundtrack in this movie. It's like, it almost, like, gives off this, like, really casual lovebird aesthetic. Like, I don't know how to say it. It just feels sweet.
Yeah, and they're all kind of like indie music.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I like.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 6% out of 7. Just because it's not quite, like, playlist worthy. But I think that this is a really good soundtrack. And there's a lot of songs on here, too. And a lot of variety, so
yeah,
really liked it.
Yeah, well, for me, you know my rule. If I listen to it, 7 out of 7. I've listened to this album many times. I like a lot of the songs off of it, so, 7 out of 7. There it is. Haven't done that much this podcast. Like, maybe this is my second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's fair that if the music from a film like extends into your personal life, then boom, 7 out of 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's move on to production design, costumes and set.
Design, costumes and set.
I think that there's very strong production design actually, because I think in particular the apartments have really good production design because they just feel so like real, and they're not overdone, but they have like so much character and like so much small details that just like feels very close to the characters that inhabit them.
Yeah, I agree. Like and just like Harry's house
for
he lives in, and how like disastrous it is, but also like tells you so much about his character. It's not really production design, but it's like really good set decoration. Like all of just like the details of the background. It's pretty cool. I mean, the tent that they set up for the wedding, that's production design, and that's a pretty big production design, especially with it breaking and the water coming through. Like that's a pretty big thing to do.
Like I think that the production design aside from these sets isn't too crazy. I will say that I really like the costumes that Mary has in particular. I just think that her costumes are like super well picked. I think for all the male characters it was pretty basic. But I don't know. I thought Mary's costumes in particular were pretty good. Yeah. And like I think that the apartments have great production design, but at the end of the day, like I just feel like there wasn't that much crazy set design in any of the restaurant locations they were at. Weren't that inspiring.
Yeah, that's true.
But definitely above average.
Yeah, totally. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 4% out of 6 for production design.
Yep, same.
Yeah,
4 out of
just
6.
really solid.
Yeah, it's solid.
It's good.
Okay, location selection. Now, okay, with location selection, it's like it's not obvious at all.
I mean, there are some beautiful locations.
There are some beautiful locations, and it might be because of the desaturated look of this film that they don't really pop out as much as they would in like a more like high saturation kind of film, because this has more gray overtones. But like some of the locations are just beautiful in this film.
I mean, his childhood house, his parents' house in particular. I mean, those locations are just stunning. It has very Atonement, White Cliffs of Dover vibes at the end there.
Totally. Yeah.
And even the places that they pick in London, like the streets where he's walking her home.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just feel nice. They feel like like not royal, but like just really nice streets. Like I don't know, they're just
totally.
they're pleasing to the eye.
Yeah. The street where they come out of like the dark dinner place when they first like see each other.
Awesome.
That street is possibly one of the most beautiful streets I have seen in a film. Like, it's gorgeous. It's like this really thin, very narrow street with like brick paved roads with puddles on them, so the street lights are shining off of it, and these like all these really antique
street looks.
Yeah, all these really antique stores kind of spiraling around the street. It is a beautiful street. I love it. Yeah, and then like the grasslands where they have the burial, the basically that like grass stairway that leads to the beach is really cool. Yeah, and it's good location selection. It's just like
it's really
solid,
good location selection.
Really good. Yeah.
I was impressed. I thought that a lot of the locations were just like I didn't really think there were any poor locations. I mean, I think in particular the restaurants, like if they picked some like epically good cafes and restaurants, I really think this could have been a 6 out of 6. But for me, it's a 5%. They just didn't quite get like perfect locations, but I mean overall just very, very solid locations.
Yeah, I agree. I gave it 5 out of 6. Yeah, I agree. Some of the restaurants weren't top tier, although I do really like the restaurant they went to, like when he takes her from the party and they go to have dinner or something. Like, that was a really cool restaurant. It was kind of like a circle. With like red
it was
blinds.
open air.
Yeah,
just nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a quick break and then we will hop into cinematography.
Hello.
Okay, we are back.
Cinematography. Yep, out of 10. I think that the cinematography in this film is... Oh, dude, I feel like there's a bit of wasted potential because I didn't really like the subtle handheld it had. I feel like it just would have been better.
I love the subtle handheld.
Like, okay,
I think it adds
like
such
it,
a gritty look to it.
Yeah, but in my opinion, it's not a very gritty movie, so I feel like it just could have been... I feel like I would have liked to see it with steadier. I don't know.
I think
I still really think that the cinematography is beautiful. Big points for so much sexy green bokeh. And it's like this nice swirly bokeh, too. Like, you can tell they use that, like, really long lens for this.
Yeah.
And just got, like, ultra shallow depth of field. Yeah. I mean... For me, like, yeah, I think that it's very beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's very creatively framed or anything. Like, I think that the shots look really nice, but to me, like, in terms of actual creativity, like, doing cool tracking shots, like, framing things in, like, a nice progressive way that, like, actually adds a lot to the story, you know, that visual storytelling, it just, you know, doesn't have a lot of that. Which is fine.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that films need it. But I think it would have given it some extra points if it had some, like, just more intentional looking shots. But, you know, I think that in general, it's a very beautiful film, and it's well shot, for sure. Can't deny that.
Yeah. I honestly like the handheld look, because I don't know. I feel like it adds more to this film, because if they stuck this film on a tripod, it would just be like, it would look like every other, you know, rom-com. And this film just feels a bit like... And it's true, because this film is a little darker than most. It's got some drama. It's got some, you know, sad stuff. So, like, I like that. Lens flares, man. There's some nice lens flares in this movie. And you know I love lens flares. Some people don't like them.
There's some good lens flares,
I love them.
But I watched Hot Fuzz this weekend, and that movie has some tactical lens flares. That movie has,
those are CGI lens flares.
I know. Like, Hot Fuzz is genuinely one of my favorite comedies, dude. I love Hot Fuzz. Dude, do you not like Edgar Wright movies? Oh, no, you like
Dude, I love Edgar. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is, like, one of my favorite movies. I also really like Baby Driver.
Do you like Baby Driver? You like Baby Driver? Really?
I like Baby Driver. It's not like...
okay.
Yeah. It's like
it feels
it's like
weird
the Walmart
watching
drive.
Kevin Spacey, no matter what he's in.
Dude,
I just feel
Baby,
awkward.
I call Baby Driver Walmart Drive because that's what it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's literally
Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, I personally am a big Shaun of the Dead fan. Also,
Yeah,
I think Shaun of the Dead is super funny.
Yeah.
Okay, back
Okay,
on track.
Okay, the one shot that like I was like, damn, is that shot where they meet at the art gallery at the Kate Moss art gallery and they're talking to each other, and like there's a projection of like this Kate Moss home video playing behind them that's getting projected over top of them. It's a really cool shot. Looks really cool. And yeah, I overall I like the like just look of this film, the kind of gray desaturated look. And also whenever they do montages that kind of show a progression of time, they shoot it in a way that feels like you're watching like a home video, which I think is really cool. For example, when they have their baby, their first child, and you're kind of watching it, they have lots of like zoom ins, handheld, lens flares, and it feels like you're watching a home video, except with like really good quality. And I really like that choice for cinematography. But yeah, overall, I don't think cinematography is that inventive. It's not crazy. It just looks nice. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah. I gave it an 8% out of 10 because I think 8%. I think 8% is the perfect score for these films that they look really nice, but they're not really enhancing the story that much with their cinematography.
I agree.
Yeah,
I give an 8 as well. It's a low 8 for me. But it's an 8 because I think it's good. It looks nice. But yeah, to get that 9, you have to be starting to get into the like beautiful film, like very creative stuff. But yeah, okay, let's move on to editing. Out of 8.
I think that there are some noticeably weird cuts in the opening at the New Year's party, like some jump cuts. But I think that, like, in general, there's just very solid editing throughout.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a nice gray color palette also. I think in general it's fairly basic editing.
Yeah, it is.
Like, back and forth between characters. And, you know, that's not a bad thing. I think that that's fine. But, I just would have liked to see maybe just some longer holds on characters or something. Or just something to spice up the editing a bit. Although, I think the montages, like, especially the Kate Moss montage, I like the editing there.
Yeah, the time-lapse.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Even though we just watched a better one in Trainspotting. I think that this time-lapse is also cool. It's pretty solid editing.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like the color grading in this film. Where the stuff in the past is more warm, color graded, and then stuff in the present is more desaturated, which is very like kind of ironic, which is cool. I like that. And also I like how whenever he goes back and like redoes stuff, they edit it identically to how he did it before.
Yeah, with Margot Robbie's stuff, I noticed that for sure.
Yeah, even like when he goes when he's like he does his day over, they edit it identically.
Yeah.
Like that's a smart choice with editing because it's like just reinforcing that it's the same day. He's just doing stuff differently. Yeah, it's the same angles, same shots, and then they cut them like on the same beats of the music, and that's pretty cool. Sure. It's solid editing, nothing crazy, nothing like stand out bad. It's just like solid. We've been given 6 out of 8 for
6% out of 8.
Yep.
That like above average, I would say, because there's nothing noticeably wrong with it. And I think when you're generally just watching like less careful films, you can notice like continuity errors or just weird cuts that like don't really feel that good.
Right.
But this film just has some really solid editing, so 6%.
I also like that they don't like waste time. They just cut stuff. Like when he when they announce that she's pregnant, they just like cut to the baby being born. You don't have this whole like labor scene. You don't. It's just like
yeah.
just cutting
Rachel
it.
McAdams
like
doesn't have to put on the fake pregnancy stomach.
And they actually had that in the film. They deleted that. That was an editing choice because it's like you don't need that. Just like move along, and I like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, it is a decently like it's not a long film, but I feel like they cutting stuff like that out just made it more punchy and made it more entertaining.
Okay, so acting out of 10. I think it's good. There were no like standout bad performances in my opinions.
Yeah.
This film, it's like weird.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Bill Nighy, like the dad, Tim's dad, like I thought he just wasn't a great actor. Like I don't know. He didn't feel like he. I don't know. Like there's just something about his performance like really wasn't that great to me. He's just very casual, very like nonchalant. He didn't really have a lot of nuances in his performance. Like I don't know. Like I think that my favorite performances were like Tom Hollander, Rachel McAdams, Lydia Wilson. Those are like my three. Even Joshua McGuire, who played Rory, I thought he gave a great performance.
Dude, I weirdly love Vanessa Kirby in this film too. She's like, not in it much, but she's so funny. She's just like, I actually really like the supporting actors in this film, which is usually not the case, but I feel like they're all very strong.
For me, it's Domhnall Gleeson, who just doesn't really do it for me. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's his character because I already felt like his character was pretty weak as the lead, but I just really think that.
I don't think his acting was bad. I think it's more that he just
not necessarily bad.
His character just didn't have that much to do.
Yeah,
it's not that he gave a bad performance. It's just like he didn't have that much to do in general. Bill Nye, not the science guy, but Bill Nye the actor. He's like. Yeah, I agree with you. He doesn't do anything crazy, but I don't think he performed bad either. I feel like they just wrote his character as this like nonchalant, like really nothing great. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing with acting in this category. It's like I don't think anyone gave a bad performance per se. It's just that a lot of the characters didn't have a whole lot to do, like didn't have a whole lot to feed off of for their like, performances.
Yeah, that's why I thought Rachel McAdams truly had the most interesting performance, just because her character felt like she was the only one that was actually like kind of unaware of the whole time travel thing. Like I don't know, her performance was just, it felt more genuine when this creepy guy was like telling her random stuff about her that he wasn't like supposed to know. Like I don't know, it was the moments like that where I thought that her performance just definitely had more intricacy and was just kind of a step above all the other actors for me.
Yeah, I think the acting is pretty decent in this film. Not top tier, but yeah, no standout like bad performances in my opinion. So I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. Yeah, to be honest, those like smaller supporting roles just bumped it up because they were very solid. So yeah.
Okay, moving into
all right. Let's move on to entertainment value.
Out of 10.
Out of 10%. All right, this is where it comes in. I'm not like a big rom-com guy, as previously stated, and like I thought that the second and third act had some funnier, like well-paced moments. But I don't know. I just didn't get into this film as much as the other films we've been doing. It's just not really like my thing. I don't know. It's just kind of the unfortunate truth. Like, I thought that it was entertaining enough. I definitely wasn't, like, bored. But, yeah, I just really wasn't that into this film. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know really what else to say, other than it's just not really the kind of movie that I would watch if the wheel didn't land on it. So, I felt like I could have been more entertained by, honestly, some more of that, like, awkward, funny... stuff that was happening at the start, because once they got into their relationship, I just really thought that aside from the interactions with their side characters, that their relationship got a little bit on the boring side, because it felt very real. But at the end of the day, like, I just thought that when he's, awkward trying to get with her, that's the most entertaining part of the film for me.
Yeah.
So I guess the second act for me was the most entertaining part, and the third and the first were a little bit weaker for me.
Okay, fair. I mean, like, I like rom-coms, but I don't like bad rom-coms. Like, I should state that. Even though I do like rom-coms, I'm very, like, strict on the rom-coms I like. I still am a movie geek to a certain extent. Like, I'm not going to go watch, like, all these Netflix teenage rom-coms because, most of them are awful. But I do like a good, thoughtful, interesting, heartfelt rom-com because I like watching movies that just make me feel good once in a while. And, Sing Street was one of those films, and this is another one that just, I don't know, it just makes me feel good when I watch it. And, yeah, I mean, this was my third time watching it, so it has rewatchability value for me, personally. And yeah, I'm never bored when I watch this movie. Even this was my third time, and I was never bored. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, it's going to score pretty high for me for entertainment value.
I gave it a 7% out of 10. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Wasn't my favorite, but it was good.
Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. Seen it 3 times. But I think this is the big thing for me. It's like, I find these movies way more entertaining than, like, good movies. Even though I enjoy watching good movies, on an entertainment level, I find movies like these way more entertaining. Just because, I don't know, my brain, endorphins, dopamine, I just like watching them.
Yeah, for me, I like watching those, like, weird, obscure indie films, because that's, like, then I just think about how awesome and weird and indie they are.
And it makes him feel better about himself.
Exactly. It makes me feel good. And I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think 7 is a fine score.
Makes sense.
I honestly, this movie was better. Like, last week when we landed on it, I looked at the plot synopsis and I was like, time traveling romance, like, this is going to be bad. But it scored a lot higher than I thought it was going to originally. Yeah. So I guess let's wrap it up with overall technical achievement.
Yep.
I think that, technically speaking, this film is very solid technically. It didn't really wow me in any way, but I think if you look at the scores, an 8 and a 6, I really can't give it that much of a low score here, because I think that the technical elements of this film are really, really solid. So
yeah, I mean, it's solid. 8 and a 6, got 7 out of 7 for soundtrack. I mean, it's solid overall technical achievement. It's nothing great, but yeah, it's continuity. It's cool. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. Yeah, I gave it a 12 out of 15 for overall technical achievement.
Same here. Yeah, not quite like 13, 14, like great levels, but it's definitely above average. Definitely very solid technically, and yeah, it definitely beat my expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. With all that being said, that concludes the review section.
Yes, it does.
We'll go tally our scores and then spin that wheel and see what we're gonna review next week.
Excited. Okay.
All right.
Back at it.
Final scores tallied up.
Finishing up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think that I think my score is fair. It's tied for my lowest score so far.
Right. Sure.
I gave it the same thing. I gave Sing Street. I gave it a 74% overall.
74%.
And yeah, I think that I like this movie just about as much as I like Sing Street, which is, it's a good movie. Definitely not on like my rewatch list for a while, but I would have like no problem if family movie night or something and this was picked. I definitely wouldn't like object. I think it's a solid movie. If you're into rom-coms, I think this is a must-watch because it's definitely a step above some of the garbage that is being executively like just Hollywood's just pumping it out because people are gonna watch it. Definitely a step above that. So yeah.
My overall 79% didn't quite break the 80 barrier. I think like looking at Sing Street in this film, I think I like Sing Street better. But this is a good movie.
Yeah, honestly.
Overall, pretty solid. So what does that average out to?
It averages out to 76.5, which is the same as Where the Wild Things Are. But since we agreed,
I honestly want to put this higher.
I think we can executively say. I think we can executively say that this movie is better than Where the Wild Things Are. And this is our list, so we can do what we want.
Plus, I have a higher rating for this. Even though we're closer, I got a higher rating.
Like, the Where the Wild Things Are just got boosted because it had a $150 million budget.
Yeah, it's purely for technical reasons.
Exactly. Like, I would much rather watch this again than Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah. Okay. Let's spin that wheel, get that QuickTime player ready, and see. Damn, it's gonna be our 18th movie next week.
18th movie.
That's a lot.
Our 20th episode.
It's been 18 weeks.
It's gonna be our 20th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. New screen recording. Let's do this. Boost the volume. I am excited to see what we get.
Let's go.
Okay. And we are spinning in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. My volume's not up. Hold up. I stopped it before it landed on anything. I'm going to redo that.
Volume is crucial. We got to make sure that it's proved that it's real.
Yeah. It's because I'm attached to my my headphone, so I got to turn that off. Damn. Okay, spinning in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have landed on a movie called Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, that is super hype.
Have you seen this movie?
Yeah, and it's like definitely one of my favorites.
Awesome.
I can't wait to watch this again. I love this movie.
I watched this movie about 2 years ago. Dude, I'm excited to rewatch this movie because
I watched it last year because one of the indie film critic YouTubers I watched listed it as his favorite film of the decade. And then I was like, never heard of it. And then I watched it and I was like, damn, it's pretty good.
It's a crazy movie.
Yeah.
Definitely not for the lighthearted. But
no. Absolutely.
I don't actually remember this movie too good. I watched it about 2 years ago. It starts Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Adams. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal, love him. It's a good movie. I remember this. I don't actually remember how this movie ended, but I remember it ending and me being like, "Damn, that was a good ending."
I don't remember what the ending was. It's a intense.
It's a very intense movie.
It's a very intense movie.
This is nice. Ben and I were hoping for a thriller, and I think we got a thriller. This is a thriller, right? We got it.
It is.
That's awesome.
It's like a romantic thriller kind of thing, directed by Tom Ford, and it didn't win any awards. Amy Adams got a nom for it.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think, supporting actor nom.
Yeah. Okay, I have the plot summary here. Okay. Susan receives a manuscript of her ex-husband Edward's new novel and finds it very compelling. However, the story forces her to confront several disturbing truths about their marital life. Pretty vague, but you kind of get the sense. And I really think that this is a film that everybody should watch. It is on Prime, so you can rent it for $4 there.
Again, haven't seen this movie in a while, but I'm going to say that if you like a good psychological thriller, I definitely suggest watching this movie.
I think that this is going to score quite highly from me. This is like one of my favorite films from the last decade. I really like this movie. So
I know it's in my top 100. Yeah, I'm hyped.
Okay.
I'm hyped. So I think that kind of ends it off here. Thanks for listening to our review discussion of About Time.
Yeah.
And then we'll come at you next Monday with Nocturnal Animals. Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Thank you for listening to Slightly Qualified Film Students.
Make sure to tune in next week for a new film discussion and review.
Our theme song is Slightly Sexy by Thompson Springs.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a like.
Send us feedback and comments as well as your thoughts on the film. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at S_Q_F_S.
If you would like to send us a question or a comment for next week's episode, you can email us at sqfilmstudents@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.